A woman cuts up a leafy, round, green vegetable, a cabbage. She mixes the cabbage leaves with spices to give it a good taste. She also adds water and salt. She lets the cabbage mixture sit for a few days. Then the woman tastes it and her mouth waters. It is spicy and sour, like a yellow lemon fruit. The woman has made kimchi. This is a very famous fermented food from Korea. It has a special taste because of the way it is prepared. People make similar food from fermented cabbage in many parts of the world. In Latin America, it is called curtido. In Europe, it is called sauerkraut. And there are many other foods that can be prepared in a similar way. Today's spotlight is on fermented food around the world.
Fermentation is a process that changes food through bacteria. Bacteria are so small that people cannot see them. They change the food so that it ages but does not decay. Instead, the taste of the food becomes stronger and often more sour.
People began to ferment food thousands of years ago. There are different fermented foods in different parts of the world. For example, in China, the earliest fermented foods were the grains, rice and millet. But in the Middle East, people first fermented barley and wheat. Today, people still eat fermented foods. In fact, they may even eat fermented foods without knowing it. Bread, milk products, beer, wine, meat, beans, and grains can all be fermented.
Milk is one of the most commonly fermented foods around the world. In southern Africa, people make a drink called amasi from milk. People leave milk out at room temperature. They add a little bit of old amasi to the milk. The old amasi is called a starter. It begins the process of fermentation. It contains bacteria that will make the milk ferment. After a few days, the milk turns a bit sour and becomes thicker. Many other cultures have a food like amasi. In English, it is called yogurt.
There are also many fermented drinks. Some of these are produced to make alcohol, but there are many that have no alcohol in them. One of these is a common drink in Russia and its surrounding countries. It is called kvass. This fresh-tasting drink is made from dry bread. People put the bread into large bottles. Then they mix in water, sugar, and dried fruit. They also add a little bit of fermented liquid as a starter. After the kvass sits for a few days, people filter it to take out all the pieces. The result is a popular drink that is a bit carbonated, like a soft drink.
Many people say that fermented foods are very healthy. These foods are good for the body in 4 main ways. First, bacteria breaks down fermented food before people eat it. This makes healthy substances from the food get into a person's body faster and more easily.
Fermented foods are healthy in a second way. During fermentation, many foods increase their mineral and vitamin content. Fermentation can be a way to eat these healthy substances that other foods may not provide.
Fermentation also makes it possible for humans to eat some foods that would otherwise be poisonous. Without fermentation, these foods can make people very sick or even die. For example, many people eat bitter cassava, a light-colored root that grows under the ground. In its original form, bitter cassava has some poison in it. But after fermentation, people can eat it without getting sick.
Finally, fermentation is good for people because of the bacteria that it creates. Bacteria are small living organisms. There are millions